I experienced a lot of pelvic floor symptoms myself. And just because I was a physical therapist didn't mean that I was well equipped to fix myself and solve these problems. So I had to take matters into my own hands and seek out pelvic PTs for myself.
Everyone pees, everyone poops. Most people want to have intercourse, and they're not things that we talk about often. So when we have dysfunction in this area, it has a huge impact on quality of life for people.
Guys, if you're listening to this, certainly you can take this information to the lady that you love. However, keep listening because newsflash, you have a pelvic floor as well. And I'm sure that you want to pee and poop effectively and be able to have intercourse, like Jenna said. So keep listening because this is for male and female alike. So what is the pelvic floor? Why is health in the pelvic floor area important? Ready, set, go. Whoever wants to start.
Welcome to the WingSpace Podcast, a place to take up space, where we talk about all things wellness, from nutrition to movement to sleep and stress, and so much more. With me, your host, Jennifer Voorhaar, along with special guests and experts within our Hope and Healing wellness community. Let's jump in.
This podcast is not a replacement for mental health treatment or professional health care. In case of crisis or emergency, please contact your local healthcare provider or dial 911.
Hey there, and welcome to the WingSpace Podcast, a place to take up space. I am your host, Jennifer Voorhaar, and in today's episode, I have two guests with me who I will let introduce themselves, but these are our pelvic floor physical health physical therapists. That's a big mouthful. I think I stumbled with a few extra words, but that's okay. Who are on our team providing amazing services. And today we're going to talk about what pelvic floor health is, why it's important to pay attention to that, how these ladies work with clients. And I'm really excited to dive into this conversation. Here's a little disclaimer. We are going to be talking about body parts. We are going to be talking about bodily functions. And so parents, you might want to just pop some AirPods in while you're listening to this. And we hope that you have some good information that comes to you as a result of listening. Before we jump in, though, I just want to remind you that if you hit the like and subscribe button, it helps us to reach more folks to get nuggets of good information out to the community. So with that, Carlin and Jenna, it's great to have you guys here today.
Thank you.
So for those who are tuning in today that have not heard you on the podcast before, because both of you are return guests, would you mind just introducing yourself? Tell us, who you are, what you do, maybe how you got into this work.
So my name is Jenna Holmes. I am the owner of Foundation Pelvic Therapy. I have been a physical therapist practicing since 2008, so coming up on a very long time. I've had Foundation PT, though, since 2022. And my focus with this primarily has been on assisting people who are dealing with pelvic floor dysfunction. I have a background in movement. I've worked in many different places, but this has definitely been my passion. And I fell in love with this actually as a student, or fell in love with the idea of this as a student because we had one of our clinical instructors who's actually a pelvic floor specialist. She talked about all of the impact that this area has on people because everyone pees, everyone poops. Most people want to have intercourse, and they're not things that we talk about often. So when we have dysfunction in this area, it has a huge impact on quality of life for people. And so it's been really a huge thing for me to be able to get into this and try to help people with those issues.
And you've been in our center in Leonardtown for 2 years?
Yes, 2 years.
Yeah, 2 years. Yeah, it's been great to have you. And Carlin, can you introduce yourself and share with our listeners, who you are, what you do, and all those good things?
Yeah. Well, Jenna explained it really well, and she's a role model for me. But I'm Carlin Davinsizer, and I'm also a pelvic health physical therapist. I got into this after my first was born, and I've been a BT since 2018, but I experienced a lot of pelvic floor symptoms myself. And just because I was a physical therapist didn't mean that I was well equipped to fix myself and solve these problems. So I had to take matters into my own hands and seek out pelvic PTs for myself. And when and some of them didn't quite help me. So I had to educate myself more and more. And just by gaining all of the education that I have, I've been able to make a big positive change in my life. And so I wanted to do the same for other moms like me. So I specialize in pregnancy and postpartum because I am also in that arena myself. I'm in that life stage myself. And it can be very discouraging and debilitating, like Jenna said, when you are experiencing pelvic floor symptoms. It really does impact your life and your relationships with your family, how you're taking care of your babies and yourself. And so I just wanted to be able to share what I've learned to be able to help other moms just live better.
Yeah, and you also have your own business that you treat folks not only through some group work at Hope and Healing, but your own work as well, right?
Yep. I see moms one-on-one, and I'm a mobile provider. So I bring all my equipment to moms' homes and we work together there. And it's really comforting because their babies and toddlers can be there and be a part of the session. And you're going to be practicing your exercises at home anyway. So we might as well figure out how to do it there. And then I am also fortunate to get to teach a group pelvic floor PT class for pregnancy and postpartum mamas on Saturday mornings at Hope and Healing. And I'm also a part of the Flame perimenopause group class, which has been really fun to work with ladies in a different stage of life. But we all have pelvic floors, and no matter how far out you are from pregnancy or not, you can still be having the same sort of issues. So it's a lot of fun to do group work too.
Yeah. And we'll make sure that we link both of your practices in the show notes as well so that folks can find you. But let me just put a disclaimer out there. Guys, if you're listening to this, certainly you can take this information to the lady that you love. However, keep listening because newsflash, you have a pelvic floor as well. And I'm sure that you want to pee and poop effectively and be able to have intercourse like Jenna said. So keep listening because this is for male and female alike. So what is the pelvic floor? Why is health in the pelvic floor area important? Ready, set, go. Whoever wants to start.
So I can do a quick anatomy lesson. The pelvic floor is a group of muscles that is located sort of in the bottom of the pelvis. So basically think about the area of your body that would be touching a bike seat if you were sitting on a bicycle. And it provides some pretty important functions for us. So it provides support to the pelvic organs, the reproductive organs, bowel and bladder. It acts as a sump pump to help kind of keep fluid moving through the system, and it has impacts on sexual function, ability to control bowels, and ability to control bladder. That's sort of it in a nutshell. But I think Carlin will probably agree with this. The pelvic floor acts almost as an anticipatory muscle group. So we're not meant to be walking around all day long, holding it up and clenching everything together. But those muscles need to be able to move because they sort of set the tone or sort of lay the foundation for the rest of the movement that we do throughout the day.
Yeah. And Carlin, I'm going to give you a chance to add to that because I'm sure you have some wonderful knowledge to add. But when you talk about we're not intended to walk around clenching all day long, I am of the generation that we sucked our tummies in and we walked around to make sure that our tummies were as flat as possible. That is not good for our pelvic health.
No, it's not, because you're putting a kink in your system by sucking in at the belly button. If you think of a balloon and you're sucking in the middle, then the top and the bottom are bulged out. And that's how, the bottom of that balloon is your pelvic floor. And then you're squeezing a lot of pressure down onto it. So then things like prolapse and leaking can occur. And so a simple tip is to just not suck it in, because it's also very hard to breathe if you're sucking it in, and we have to breathe. So
yeah. So all of you ladies that are 40-ish or older, now's a good time for you to take a nice deep breath, let that bottom belly area fill up with oxygen. And when you exhale, leave your belly out, because this is the no more sucking in movement. I guess I'm going to start a hashtag. I don't know, but it's really a thing that we were trained kind of from a society standpoint that really is not good for our function. So if people don't take anything else away, ladies, stop sucking it in.
And stop squeezing your butts.
Yeah.
We don't want to walk around with our butts clenched all day long either. That's not great for us either.
Yeah. So are there practical tips for people who are chronically sucking in their bellies and clenching their butt cheeks that they could begin to just consider? Obviously, we would want them to come work with you if they are in that age group of people that are sucking it in and clenching. But I mean, can you share anything with the listeners about just something practical they could do that might help with that initially?
Yeah.
So one of the things that I will encourage folks to do is actually focus on their breath. So if I just tell you to relax, that has never worked for any person I've ever met. And so if you think instead about your bra line, most of us are wearing a bra. We feel it whether we want to or not. And so if you can think about sort of taking that breath in and trying to breathe so that you expand all the way around that bra line. A lot of the time, just kind of directing the breath that way and then just allowing the air to come out of your body without forcing anything, squeezing anything, tightening anything, that can give you just a little bit of a reset on sort of where things should be. Outside of that, there's a lot of other postural things that we can get into and ways that we can adjust how you're standing or how you're sitting and doing some of the tasks throughout the day. But just being able to check in, take some of those breaths, and just sort of allow your body to melt into the position that it's in can be very helpful.
Yeah. And guys, you might not be wearing a bra, but you do have nipples. So you're just thinking a couple inch or two below that area where the top of your rib cage is. That's kind of where our bra line sits. And so, guys, you want to expand the top of that rib cage in the same way that Jenna was describing for the ladies.
Yes. Yep. I'll also mention the clenching your butt cheeks because, well, first of all, we have to figure out why are you doing it? Do you just need more stability, and so that's how you're getting it? And so there's a lot to address for like why are you clenching certain parts of your body? Like where are you missing the proper strength? But we all have to stand in the kitchen to wash dishes and cook. So that's a great time to just pay attention to that. So go ahead and squeeze your glutes as hard as you can, squeeze them and then let them go. And if you feel better after that, then try to just stay there. And also pay attention to if you're someone who kind of leans into the counter, like, leans your pelvis and your belly in, then just kind of shift back in a way and kind of bring your center of mass back on like the middle of your feet, maybe even a little more into your heels. Then you're just going to be more stacked up, ribs over pelvis, and then you won't need to be clenching and squeezing your glutes. It'll take a little bit of ab control to even stand there, but that's what we want. And then from there, like Jenna said, just breathe like all the way around, front, back, sides, and just don't force an exhale out. We have to kind of relearn how to breathe, most people. So we have to find a way to learn how to breathe better without making it stressful.
And our listeners have heard me talk endlessly about breath and how important it is. So, I mean, just you guys talking about breath, I'm over here taking some nice big deep breaths and I feel better, right? And so breathing is something that we just by nature, I don't know whether it's a human nature thing or if it's an American thing, but we just don't breathe effectively and efficiently. And I know that it impacts us from a mental health perspective, but here we're talking about it impacting us from a pelvic floor aspect as well. So we've mentioned a little bit about leakage and constipation and things like that. So what might be some symptoms that people are experiencing, men and women alike, all ages really? What might be some symptoms that people might be experiencing that they might hear you talk about and then go, maybe I should have my pelvic floor region evaluated by a specialist?
Do you want to go first?
Sure. If you're experiencing urine leaking with a sneeze or a cough or a jump or quick movement, or if you can't quite make it to the bathroom in time, you have this urgency to get there and then you leak on the way there. If you've been diagnosed with a prolapse or you think you might have one because you're feeling heaviness or pressure in the vaginal area and it feels like a tampon is sticking out, or if you try to put one in and it's, it feels uncomfortable. Or maybe even if you see something poking out, if you're constipated and that has become a problem, like a real big problem for you, if intercourse is painful and you don't want to partake in it, those kinds of things. Jenna can probably say some more.
So I'll jump in for the men. All of those things still apply, but think about difficulty with erections. So are you having painful erections, or do you feel like you're not able to achieve an erection in a way that maybe you were previously? Pain from ejaculation, painful sitting, all of those things can be signs that there are dysfunction in the pelvic floor in men as well. Plus, you may have just what you assume is general run of the mill hip pain or low back pain, but maybe you've tried other regular sort of orthopedic therapy in the past and you haven't found relief from those symptoms. In those cases, there may be something underlying within the pelvic floor that could be contributing to that pain.
Most of the time when people think about physical therapy, they think about going into a gym. They think about, lifting weights. They're thinking about stability, big muscle groups, strengthening and lengthening and getting range of motion and those kinds of things. When you guys are doing work, there's like little bitty muscles in there that we're doing small but very effective movements that's doing big work.
Yes.
Tend to think of it as a lot of the time it may be a movement that you've done before with another therapist or as part of an exercise program, but it's all about the intention of how you're doing the movement. So Carlin is probably very similar in that for me, I'm really looking at what are you feeling with that motion, what muscle is driving that motion, and how is your body completing it, not necessarily what shape was I able to get into. And so there's a lot that goes into kind of how we're coordinating things to make sure that this system is working really well.
Yeah, definitely. It's not necessarily what you're doing, it's how you're doing it. So you can do squats all day long, but they might feel really bad in your body. But we still want to do squats, but we need to change how we're doing it so that it feels better and the right like mechanics are happening, like allowing your knees to come over your ankles and feet, allowing your hips to come down, feeling length through your glutes, not just burning your quads and feeling your back. And so it isn't just what you're doing, it's how you're doing it. And yes, a lot of the movements are maybe small that we're working on, but then you can really feel different muscles that you haven't felt in a while. And we're trying to go after like the mechanics of the joints, like what is happening, how is the femur moving in the socket, are you able to rotate, are you able to like load into the middle of your foot and feel like a pronation, because up the chain everything is changing and happening and allowing the pelvic floor to respond in the way we want it. And so yes, it isn't necessarily being you get to the gym setting, but we've got to change how are you hinging, squatting, pushing, pulling, so that our pelvic floor and our whole body responds in the right way and it feels better. Pressure feels better. You're not leaking. And yeah, it's just an opportunity to just change things and make it better.
Yeah. I had the opportunity to work with you, Jenna, one-on-one. And then I've also had some work with you, Carlin, through the Flame series that we've done. And, I don't think I'll ever do a glute bridge the same, because I remember, if you're imagining a glute bridge, right, you're laying on your back, your legs are, your knees are folded, feet flat on the ground, and you're lifting your butt, right? Well, a little tuck of the pelvis and it feels completely different, and it's more effective and efficient and safe for your body. So, I've been doing glute bridges my whole life, but Who knew? Just a little tuck of the pelvis, and it becomes a much more efficient and really healthy for our body type exercise. So people might be surprised when they're not walking into a standard physical therapy gym, but it's because it's much more concentrated and focused movements.
But it's more than Kegels. So I just want to throw that out there. It's very rare that you're going to have either of us just telling you, contract your pelvic floor, squeeze your pelvic floor, let go. Now do that 10 times. It's a lot more than that.
Yeah, we just had this conversation in Flame a couple weeks ago, because we are in the, 45 to 60 range. And what were we taught? Do your Kegels every day. And one of the ladies said that she left class and called her daughters and said, stop doing Kegels. And this is what you're going to need to do. So yeah, it's about learning, as we learn more about our bodies and the function and the dysfunction, we can teach people more effective ways of doing things.
Yes. I got a lot of questions on that first night when explaining. They're like, wait, I thought that's what I've been doing this whole time, doing Kegels. I'm like, well, we're not going to be doing them in this class, and yes, doing funkier, weirder things, and they're kind of confused, but feels good.
Yeah. So if someone were to engage in the one-on-one services that you guys offer, what might they be able to expect for their first couple of sessions with you?
So for me, the first couple of sessions are really kind of learning about the person. So I want to know a detailed history, everything that kind of makes up your story. So for a woman, if you've had children, I want to know about your pregnancies. I want to know about your birth experience, what happened to you postpartum. I also want to know about your sports background. Were you somebody who was maybe a horseback rider? Did you do gymnastics? Did you do something else like skiing or snowboarding where you're falling on your tailbone regularly? All of those things kind of give me information about sort of what to expect from how your body is moving. And then we're taking that and sort of looking at your whole body, head to toe. So with my exams, I'm not jumping just into your pelvis. We're not just coming in and taking our clothes off. We're really up, we're moving, we're standing, we're looking at motion in your neck and your back, your balance, how you're squatting, how you're hinging, what your hips are moving like, how you're breathing, what's happening through your belly. And then we're going to look at the pelvic floor a little bit more specifically. And so that can look a little different for each person depending on their level of comfort. But there's information that we can gain from just visually assessing things externally, all the way into actually touching and feeling for tone, tension, and tenderness within the muscles of the pelvic floor, whether that's an intravaginal exam or an intrarectal exam. And then all of that information is used along with sort of the lifestyle factors that come into play for people to help come up with what movements, what changes do we need to make. And I try to pick things that they're already doing and we're just doing them differently to begin to drive change for them based on the goals that they want to achieve.
Yeah, and that's actually how I ended up doing the glute bridges with you, because one of the questions you asked was, what's your typical exercise routine at home? And then we took some of those exercises and made sure that I was aware of my pelvic floor health. So I love that, individualizing it. What about you, Carlin? Anything particular about your services that anyone who might work with you may experience for a first session or two?
Yeah, I mean, really similar to Jenna too. The history is super important. And I'm going to watch how you move, how you move about your day, just basic functional movements. And then I'm going to be checking rib cage, pelvis, abs, just how everything's working. And also kind of what patterns you might be stuck in and how we're going to work out of them. Because there's just a natural asymmetry in the body, and we want to assess that and kind of be able to regain like a reciprocal movement in the body, because we have to walk all day. We have to hinge over. So I'm definitely going to be teaching you how to hip hinge. We must become masters of the hip hinge. So you will be doing a lot of that with me and putting you into various like positions to try to breathe better. Because sometimes it's hard to just think about, oh, I need to breathe better. Well, I don't, that's stressful. So let's bias you and get the air going where we want it to go, to just get the diaphragm moving. Um, and then you're going to start to feel better. But sometimes we don't even touch the pelvic floor, because sometimes we don't even need to, because it is usually the victim. It's usually not the cause of the leaking or the pressure you're feeling. It's often coming from somewhere else in the body, like rib cage or feet. And so we need to really address the whole body, and then your symptoms can start to improve. And you're like, wow, you didn't even have to do an internal exam, and I'm already getting better. And so pelvic health, it really is about the entire body, but we need to have that special skill set to be able to understand what the pelvic floor muscles are doing, how they're supposed to be acting, how the position of the pelvis is influencing how it's working and responding. So that's why we're different, and that's why we're special.
That's right. And, for our listeners, you've heard me say before that everything matters. It's the reason why we have the 5 pillars of wellness, because it matters how you're feeding and moving your body. It matters how you're sleeping, all of those things. And from a physiological standpoint, it matters how you hold your head, because it impacts everything from the head down to the feet. It matters how you stand, because it impacts everything from the bottom of your feet all the way to the top of your head. It's all connected, and it's important that we have good physical posture and movement, because it's all connected. So it might sound weird to think about, oh, well, why are they going to watch me, walk or do squats or move my neck or something like that? But it's all connected. It's all one big body, and we have to be able to treat it all. Any last minute thoughts for our listeners, something that you really want to make sure that they take away with them today?
So a really sort of simple one for me is don't push your pee. Give yourself the minute to sit and actually take a breath and relax. Allow your body to empty without sitting and pushing so that you can get on to the next task. Just give yourself that time.
Yeah, that's a good one. I just wanted to say that we're able to play a special role in women and men's lives. And it's really important that we're able to educate about all the changes that go on in a female's body, because females are the only ones that go through pregnancy, postpartum, child rearing, menopause. And you can need help at any time throughout your life in any of those stages. And it's super common to experience these things, and it's okay to ask for help. It's a good thing. It can really, improve the quality of your life, like Jenna said. And we're just trying to help you with, your longevity and how you're feeling throughout your entire life, because women go through so much. Our body changes so much, and it doesn't just go right back to the way it was before. So we're able to help you, and we want to, and we come to really care for you and your families. And so, we just want to be really good at educating and being a part of your entire life.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate both of you joining me today and sharing your knowledge and your expertise. Our hope is that each of these episodes includes just a few nuggets of goodness for those of you that are listening. And if someone in particular came to mind while you were listening to this episode, please don't hesitate to share it with them. So, ladies, thanks for joining me. And to listeners, thanks for listening, and have a great day.
Thank you.
Thanks.